Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest, episode number 97, the E3 Jambalaya edition.
The E3 half
Bonanza.
Half
Oh,
true. There's still half of the show to go.
That's true.
True.
That's
Yeah,
true.
right?
Yeah, we got stuff to do.
Saving
Who
the
else?
best till last.
Yeah.
Nintendo still has to go, right? And
Bandai Namco,
Capcom. Capcom are today after the show. Then it's Nintendo, and then it's Bandai Namco. And then there was another rumor today that Xbox might have another showcase in like a week's time.
Right, an extended something or another.
Yeah.
Cool.
interesting.
They're like, whoops, we forgot to talk about Fable and this game and this game and this game. So we'll come back.
Oh man, I forgot about Fable.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been quite a news cycle. A lot of different stuff.
It really has.
Yeah. Before we jump into the jambalaya soup that is then going to get shelved to come back to next week to talk more about what's going on, we should talk about a game that came out a small title that no one really paid attention to on the PS5 last week, right?
Yeah.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Which is fantastic, by the way.
which is fantastic.
I haven't played that. I have played Ratchet and Clank, and my God, this game is fantastic.
It's so good.
Sure is.
It's so good. There's moments where, so first of all, it feels like you're playing a Pixar movie.
It does.
But then the other times there's moments where the animations are actually, I would say, even better than animation studios are doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really impressive.
Yeah,
Some of them are incredible.
I think that's one of the big takeaways. It feels like the PS5 engine is allowing not only like the hyper details of the geometry and all the world bending type of stuff, but also whatever engine they have like another level of animation capabilities going on there with all the just everything feels so fluid, you know? Aside from the controls, some of the controls can be a little janky at times. It feels like Ratchet and Clank, you know? It's fluid like 95% of the time. Then there's a few times where it's kind of janky in the controls.
I'm just amazed at like how much can go on, because given how good the game, I mean, it's a perfect showcase for like PS5, but like I'm amazed at how much can go on screen, because obviously, you know, when you smash boxes and stuff, like bolts come into you, like later on in the game you can change those to be different items. So like I switched mine to rupees, so now when I'm in a big boss fight and I kill loads of things with my crazy weapon that's firing particles everywhere, I've got literally hundreds of rupees flying into my body with enemies exploding around me, and I didn't see a single frame drop. I'm just like, this is insane.
If you make it cans of soda, it's even more impressive, because you're like, there's just mountains of soda cans just flying at you.
I
was like, this is maybe a bit too much.
I need to change that. I still have bolts flying at me. I like
you do have to get a collectible to be able to do it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when you get your golden bolts, when you go around, you can basically just like mess around in the menu. Like I swapped my hammer out for a fish.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I definitely chose the fish.
That seems like the way to go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obvious answer right there.
Optimal.
Exactly.
What? Fish.
I can have a
that's correct.
practical hammer or a spanner, but no, I want a fish.
That's great. Yeah, overall, I think it's fantastic. I've definitely not finished the game yet. I'm like maybe 3 hours in or something like that. But
okay,
I'm taking my time. I want to get all of the different armor, because it all looks so good that if it tells me that there's armor on this planet that I haven't gotten, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I finished. I started. I was golden lining it for a while because I was like, there were so many games coming out. I was like, I need to finish this quickly. Then I got near the end. It was like, I want to do some collectibles to get some weapons. So then I went back and did that. So I finished it with almost all the collectibles, and it came in at about 12 hours, give or take. So it's not hugely long, which is nice. So
yeah.
When did the original Ratchet and Clank come out? Was that a PS2 game?
The very first one.
I'm not sure.
Well, it was PS2, right? It wasn't PS3.
I'm looking it up right now.
I think it might have. I'm pretty sure it was PlayStation 2.
2002.
At that time, there were
2002.
A ton of like 3D platformer mascot characters. Like there was Sly Cooper, especially on the PlayStation, right? There's Jack and Daxter. There's just a ton of them. Do you think this game opens the doorway? Like maybe that kind of game can make a comeback, or do you think this is kind of like a one-off and you've had enough after one game? There's a really good example, but like let's not make a habit out of it.
Man, I think it's a phenomenal genre. When it's done right, it plays incredibly well. It's like it's entertaining. The systems feel interesting. Like exploring the environment is exciting. That's what's great about it. I think the thing is it's difficult to make it feel that way, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's why, because this is, it's sort of the kind of same thing I was speaking about before when we had the discussion about, like, I know obviously, like, some, you know, I was just one of the kind of people that didn't really enjoy it, but like for me, like Biomutant, like when I was looking forward to Biomutant, I was like, these are the games that I used to play, and that's kind of the feeling I wanted to get, and it didn't deliver that for me. But then Ratchet and Clank is like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted, because I remember I used to consume these games all the time. Like obviously growing up with Nintendo consoles, I played like Banjo Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64 and Mario 64, and like I just so I would love to see more of these come back. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's because there's a certain degree of it that sort of plays on people's nostalgia. But I would love to see more of it come back. And I also think that Ratchet and Clank was super well paced, because even though it's a difficult thing, because it's so, like, even if you go and explore and find the collectibles, it's still not going to be very long. And given the price of games right now, it is quite a lot. But at the same time, I feel like it wouldn't have benefited by being longer, because the gameplay is so good. But if you made it any longer, then because there is still limited stuff you can do in it, it would start to get repetitive after a while anyway. So I feel like this kind of length is perfect for this kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my biggest complaint with open world games, is that they just feel padded out. They feel like, well, we want people to spend $70 on this game, so we need to make it last 60 hours. So we're just going to make them do this thing 100 times and this thing 100 times.
Yeah, I appreciate like well curated experiences. Like if you give me a great experience with great gameplay and all of that through, 12 hours, 15 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. If I come away like I loved this world, I love these characters, I love this game, then you've given me my money's worth, right? Because it was an experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't need it to be 60 hours of that.
Yeah.
To feel like it's worth it.
It is interesting how there's that, like, this time quotient ratio that people are valuing games off of, and it doesn't really make sense depending on the type of experiences that you get. Some experiences aren't going to be this, like, I spent 200 hours in a game, you know, therefore that's what $70 should be. I should be getting 200 hours every time, you know?
I think it makes a lot of sense to kids who are probably not going to get a lot of games, so they want what they are going to get to last for a long time before they get bored of it. Like, I know when I was a kid, I'd get 1 or 2 games a year. So, like, if I blew through a game in the first few hours, I'd be really disappointed, because, like, that was my game until my birthday or till Christmas. You know, like, that was it. But I think a lot of that comes from younger players.
Yeah.
Could be. Today, the thing is, there's so many free-to-play games, though, that you could just, like,
there are,
fill up your time with all these other options if you did happen to finish a game. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should probably talk about E3.
We probably
Let's do that.
Yeah, probably should.
Let's get into it, guys. Where should we start?
Well, should we go via press conference order then, starting on Wednesday last week?
Sure.
Yeah, let's
do it.
So that means the first
journey began on Wednesday.
Yeah, with Battlefield reveal. Battlefield 2042. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It looks good, right? It looks like
it looks impressive.
Yeah. Like I was just super happy to see it, like, because I've never really been a fan of like older style warfare games anyway. Like I like the modern warfare stuff, so it just looks really cool.
It looks cool. I feel like I'm numb to war arena shooters at this point. I've seen
especially
it so much, right? Even like the promotional material, it all kind of blends together for me at this point. I've seen so many.
Especially like this is about 10 years in the future technology.
Yeah.
Like it really does. Like I gotta agree with you there, Tuft. It just tends to blend in. It all looks the same. This game looks great. Technically, it looks amazing. I love the grappling thing that he had. Like in the Battlefield formula, I think is pretty fun. Where you can run around with like 60 players in like basically a death match. I think that's super fun. The stories have never really grabbed me. I think the best one that I like the best was the World War I. Or maybe it was the World War II one.
Okay.
See, I can't even remember.
There was a Battlefield 1 that came out a few years ago that did a bunch of like captions of stories that happened in World War I. That was actually really cool.
Those.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was that World War I or World War II?
I don't know.
It must have been one.
Yeah. I'm impressed with what they're doing, right? It's 128 players now that can be in there. There's like they showed that sandstorm thing and that looked really impressive. So Battlefield games look really impressive. I've just never liked them. I can't. I wanted to. I tried. I really dislike Battlefield.
I usually like them for about a month. You know, as I'll pick one up and I'll play it for a month and then
just not my
kind of move on.
I like I like to just dabble, you know, and like I'll check out the multiplayer, I'll play it a few times and be like, that was fun, but I'm not trying to get good.
Well, now it's only multiplayer, Tefty. That's it. It's all you get.
That's true.
Yeah.
No more story.
I'm the same really anyway. Like because I'm not really a shooter person generally speaking, but like a lot of my friends are anyway. So like, I'll jump into Battlefield and like I think I prefer Battlefield more so than say something like COD, because at least in Battlefield I can jump in, be in a vehicle, and kind of be useful, even though I'm rubbish at those games. Whereas I play something like COD, and I'm like, I couldn't save your life if someone was literally standing next to me in labs. I would have missed a shot.
You're
like,
you're the spawn point guy in Battlefield.
Exactly.
Hold down the spawn.
That used to be my biggest gripe in Battlefield and the other ones. When the maps were so big, like, I felt like I would walk for half an hour, get killed, respawn, walk for another half an hour. I was like, come on, man.
Die to one sniper, like sitting somewhere, and then you're like, oh, well, I guess I got to make that journey again.
Yeah.
It super duper sucks to be bad at a Battlefield game. Like, it's just awful.
It is true. It is true. Yeah.
So what they showed though in that in like the teaser, it is exciting when you're doing that stuff. Obviously, like when you're utilizing the technology and you see the world tech happen in Battlefield, those are very exciting gaming moments. But the mundane parts, I think, outweigh heavily for me when I'm playing Battlefield. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more on the mundane side than really cool, flashy moments.
Yeah.
Whether or not I pick this up completely depends on what it releases alongside. Like what's in that release window.
Yeah.
If it's a bunch of games I really want to play, I probably won't pick it up. If it's a bunch of games I don't care about or no other games, I'll definitely pick it up and just tinker with it.
Yeah, true. Sense. But it does also show at the beginning of like this is officially, you know how like games go through these trends where the previous, I think it was like last year or the year before, was like the year of the bow, where like loads of games everyone had like a bow for a weapon. Now it's the year of the grappling hook. Aloy's got one. Now we've got it in Battlefield. Master Chief or like Spartans have got them. Like I'm not against that. Like exactly. I love grappling hooks. So you know,
I think Doom guy started the trend, right? He's a trendsetter.
Oh, I feel like it might have been Link, the old hookshot day back in the day.
Oh, maybe. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So they need to put that in Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
So next was Summer Games Fest. So that was Jeff's show. That was kind of the kickoff sort of thing. So
that was big.
Yeah.
You guys got any highlights?
Can we just start with the elephant in the room?
Yeah, let's just do it. Elden Ring. Elden Ring. What happened? I cried. I was freaking out. And not only was there, so we got the trailer of Elden Ring where we got to see a bunch of stuff. Like they showed, this game looks absurdly massive. They're like, here's a boss, 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 here's a boss. And I'm like,
do you think they're all bosses?
Probably not. Probably mini bosses. Probably just like dudes in the world.
Honestly, that's what made me think. I was like, man, you know, these look like bosses, but they might just be like really fleshed out mini bosses throughout the world that are just badass characters that you run into.
They are badass,
right?
Yeah,
and we got the release date, which is very exciting, January 21st.
I couldn't believe that it was actually real. That they're like, here's a bunch of footage of this game you've been anticipating, and it's coming out early next year. And I'm like, am I dreaming? Am I about to wake up?
Yeah,
I know.
I half expected like a 2023 or something. Like, guys, we've had a lot of setbacks, so it is coming, but more later. But I was like, okay.
And then they so much info came out about it. Like, there's this huge interview with IGN, talking to Miyazaki, who's of course the famous Dark Souls guy. And he was talking about, so it's open world, but it's like FromSoft's version of an open world game. So there's like a mainline quest that you can just follow. So if you just want to do that, you just want to go from, start to finish, you can do that. But if you want to go off the beaten path and explore, I'm sure there'll be reasons for exploring. You can do that. And they said that there's like this kind of main area, and then there's 6 different realms. And each realm has a different like god of the old world that kind of sees over it. And these gods, these bosses that essentially that you're going to be fighting were written by George R.R. Martin. So their backstory and everything about them was written by George R.R. Martin. So it's it's very exciting. And so it's going to be a massive game because it's their first time delving into like an open world kind of thing. It's obviously their version of it. It's not going to be like it's not the annoying open world.
Yeah. It's interesting because like I feel like a lot of Souls games are kind of in between, open world ish already. Like they got their various gates. Like you look at Bloodborne, a lot of those areas connect aside from there's definitely some disconnections in there, but a lot of the areas do connect to make it feel kind of open. That'll be interesting to see. Also, Sekiro is kind of open, right?
True, but I think it gives you a sense of scale as well because the second any game gives you a mount, you're like, oh, okay, the world is big. Because a mount can make a very big map seem very small if it's a fast mount. But you get a horse, you're like, okay, now I clearly need a horse, otherwise I'm going to be walking for half an hour. So yeah, that's cool. I'm also just happy with I'm happy with the release date because I feel like my sort of Soulsborne curse is that these games always come out alongside something else. So I start them and then I just never finish. Like surely nothing else will come out in January. Surely.
Wild.
Oh yeah.
Surely. That's not happening.
Nothing releases in January, right?
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. For me, this was definitely the highlight, though. I mean, seeing that,
for sure,
it was lights out. I was like, I can't believe this is real. Elden Ring's real. And again, I can't imagine them showing a bunch of bosses because that's such a spoiler. And they've been really good about not showing all the bosses in a trailer. They'll show a few, but they like to save some secrets. So it really makes me think that some of these character designs in the world of characters that you just run into are going to be really elaborate.
They've also said that they think that this is going to be their most customizable experience in terms of the different skills, different weapons, learning magic, build customization. They said that they're giving you a lot more freedom of how you want to approach the game, how you want to play it, how you want to fight than any game they've done before. So that is very exciting.
I want that dragon ability where you catch lightning out of the sky and slam it on the ground.
That was crazy.
That's badass.
Crazy.
I hope they can keep there's something about the encounter design in Bloodborne and Dark Souls games that I think is really well handcrafted, where you really remember it, not just the boss fights, but individual rooms that you walk into. And I hope they can keep that kind of engagement kind of quality up in an a more open world game.
I think that's actually the reason why I'm just guessing, but the reason why they asked George R.R. Martin to hop in, because he creates these very dense story, massive worlds. So you bring that guy to work on your game because he's crafting, obviously not the game because that would be crazy, but he's crafting the story of the areas, stories of the realms, stories of these big boss god guys. So I'm sure he helped with kind of making that massive world feel packed with story and character.
For sure. Yep.
So man, can't believe it.
Can't believe it's real.
I'm glad it's so close too.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And graphically, it looks stupendous.
Yep.
It does look gorgeous. And Jeff, when he announced it, you could tell he was just giddy as a child at a candy shop, just being like, guys, we got one more thing.
This has got to be the biggest release out of the biggest announcement out of any of the press conferences, right?
Oh yeah.
So far, definitely.
I'd say so.
We saw Starfield. That's a big one. We saw I don't know what else was even close, and Starfield was just kind of a what is this exactly kind of.
It was like a hey, it's a thing.
This to me was a big scoop. A big
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those games that it's been such a long time people were waiting for it. It kind of became a meme. It kind of became that sort of thing where if you even someone even utters the words Elden Ring, people everyone just looks up and what's going on. So I feel everyone was ready for that. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Although I will say, right, in terms of things that I didn't see coming and I'm incredibly happy about, also during Summer Games Fest, Lost Ark for the West.
That's
I
true.
can't, I cannot begin. That for me was apart from when Elden Ring happened, like I was so hyped because obviously I played the Korean beta back in the day, and to anyone that hasn't played Lost Ark, like it is a fantastic game. Like it's genuinely, if you like those kind of, because Lost Ark is basically like Diablo meets MMO sort of thing to a degree. Like it's an isometric sort of top-down thing. But we kind of spoke about this like in the past when sort of the beta was out. But the combat in Lost Ark is probably the best isometric style sort of dungeon combat that I've ever played. Like it's better than Diablo, better than Path of Exile, better than any of them. Because even when you're playing with like a keyboard where you don't have like rumble and stuff, like the feedback on the moves are just so incredible. Like you feel the weight of them, you feel everything like that. So like it's amazing because it's got all the kind of cool combat you like from those style of games, but also woven into an MMO style world where progression is actually pretty good. And you've got loads of things, you've got all the stuff you'd expect in MMOs, like housing and exploring and dungeons and raids. It's even got like Monster Hunter style quests. It's literally, Lost Ark is like a best hits video game. Like take all the things you like from games, throw them in a pot, and that's Lost Ark. And we're getting it in the West.
That is very exciting that it's getting an official release.
Yeah. So they're running closed alphas, like NDA alphas at the moment, and then they'll have like a beta later in the year. But it said it's slated for fall this year, so no exact date, but like we're looking at the latter half of the year. So yeah. I just hope it comes out a good time, like a good time where it doesn't get swamped. Like obviously a lot of people have been looking forward to it, but they have also been waiting quite a long time for this. So it's one of those things where if it comes out and it's alongside other stuff that people are like, oh, this is brand new, it could get overshadowed. But like if you get a chance, you can sign up for the website for like alpha status and stuff like that. So give it a shot.
I saw so many press conferences over the last several days that I don't really remember which games were in which press conferences.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. One game that they announced during the Summerfest was Gearbox talking about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And
yes.
Now this one I'm cautiously optimistic about because Gearbox has a history of not really releasing anything good outside of Borderlands. And that's a little rough, but this is in the Borderlands universe, obviously, and it's they're doing a fantasy first person, right? Fantasy first person looter. Yeah, looter.
And
that's
you
what
get
it is,
to make your own character, and so Tiny Tina is just like I don't the overlord of the world. I don't know, but she's riding a dragon, so I assume she's pretty important.
Yeah,
and there's loot, and it's in a fantasy world, so it definitely intrigues me.
It's high on the what is this going to look like mark for me. I'm excited to see them reveal this, and I'm also willing to be like, okay, no, they didn't hit the mark. They might hit the mark. They might be like, this is the Borderlands of fantasy looters. Being able to craft like a staff or something. Imagine crafting a staff and then crafting some magic spells or something for whatever type of imagine getting a randomly rolled spell.
Ooh,
that
would be cool.
Me.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
that would be dope, right? Or legendary spell.
Yeah, definitely has the
cool stuff they could do here.
Yeah, it has a potential because like if they kind of capture because like the Tiny Tina DLC from Borderlands 2, the dungeon, like the Dragon's Keep one, that was so good. So
Superb.
Like if they can capture that sort of if they can capture that and do that in the game. But I know what you mean. Like I'm also like, especially these days, I'm becoming more and more sort of cautious of like anything that's a looter these days because they just seem to keep falling flat. So I'm like, I want it to be good because I like the universe, and that with just like the craziness of Borderlands, but just with magic spells and stuff, could be good.
Yeah,
but we need to see it.
It could, and also could be bad. We'll see.
We'll see.
Indeed.
Yeah,
yes.
I'll be keeping it on my radar though, for sure.
Yeah, it's on my radar.
Yeah. What else?
So after that, I mean, obviously, I know what you mean. We're going to get to the point where we're not exactly sure exactly which ones were from which conferences, but skipping past those, we had like the Ubisoft conference, which didn't have a great deal of new stuff. So I don't know if any of you guys have got any highlights from that. Like Riders Republic looks kind of cool.
They
like
announced the Avatar game. So that was a.
How do we feel about
like
that?
A tie into the movies?
It must, right?
I'm not too sure. Yeah,
they have 3 movies that they've been working on. Like Avatar 2, 3, and 4 has been in development, and I'm sure it's getting.
Yeah,
I'm positive Avatar 2 is probably like around the corner from being finally done. So they probably want to tie this into a video game launch as well to just scoop in billions of dollars. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
see it.
Like,
And I'm
could be
like,
fun.
yeah, it's one of those games that kind of looks like they threw an Avatar skin on it. You know what I mean?
Movie license games aren't always of the highest
Typically
quality.
not. Yeah. It's
Every once in a while you get a banger.
yeah, definitely. Every once in a while. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. Like it's one of those things that I'm probably gonna see in the peripheral.
Was replaced during that conference, the Jeff Keighley conference?
That was Xbox yesterday, but yeah, no, let's
Xbox
talk about that. I knew you were going to talk about that one because that looks so good.
There was a Devolver Digital that happened, which one of the games that I picked was, I think, shown there, which was Trek. I don't know if it's Trek to Yomi or if it's Trek to Yomi because it's a Japanese game. But you need to watch the trailer. Basically, you have to watch the trailer in order to understand the excitement.
So look it up.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I will get you guys the trailer and put it in chat.
Like
because
Ghost of Tsushima, the side scroller.
Yeah, so a lot of people were like, so it's kind of 2D Ghost of Tsushima, and it's just gorgeous. Cool. So it's a samurai game. Did I write anything? It's a samurai action adventure game.
Awesome.
And it just looking at the trailer, I was just like, this game looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got a really interesting style to it. Where there's some parts that are 3D, like there's cutscenes and stuff where there's 3D and you're running into an area and then it's like this kind of 2D situation. It's very, very cool. So I'm keeping my eye on this one.
Literally looks like they could have used Ghost of Tsushima engine and made it a 2D scroller.
It really looks exactly like Ghost of Tsushima, but it's a 2D side scroller.
Yeah, it's
way down.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm 100% in.
So that caught my eye.
To Yomi. I couldn't understand what you're saying, but it's Trek, like Trek 2, and then Yomi apparently is like a town.
Yeah, I assume it's Trek to Yomi and not Trek to Yomi, which would be Trek and Yomi.
Cool.
So like a delicious treat on your journey?
Yeah, that was
the whole my eye the most.
The whole Devolver. Yeah, the whole Devolver show was kind of weird. Like,
They're always being weird. What?
I mean, no, they are always weird. But this one was just like I was watching the whole thing, and chat was just like, I mean, what is happening? But I like it. I don't understand it, but I like it. But yeah, if anyone missed the Devolver show, just watch it. Just because I can't even give you a summary, it's just mad.
Sometimes you want to experience what it's like to be on psychedelic drugs without being on psychedelic drugs.
That's probably a good description. A good description. But yeah, so Devolver rolled into. We might as well speak about the Xbox One because Brian, you were going to talk about Replaced, right? Because that looks. Whoo!
Replaced looks stupid good, right? Like,
yes.
It's a cyberpunk side-scrolling. Mm-hmm. I would say somewhat a shooter, somewhat a beat 'em up. It looks extremely bespoke. It's got some of the best graphics I've ever seen in a side-scrolling like pixel art game. Like just astounding graphically. I can't wait to get my hands on this. This thing looks like some of the moves, like the hand combat moves, looks so cool and brutal. And I was salivating for this one.
This one got a lot of attention. And this is it's a 2.5D retro futuristic cinematic platformer. So it's. And the art style that they went with it is just really, really cool. I think the premise behind it is that you're controlling an AI called Reach, who's trapped in a human's body. So that's kind of it's set in Phoenix City, which is a dilapidated, like alternate reality of the 80s. So it's like the 80s.
Sort of like old Detroit. This is RoboCop versus Terminator 2, isn't it?
And it's by Sad Cat Studios, and this is their first ever game that they put out as
cool.
What? No.
So I cannot imagine how excited they must be to like have this game, the first game that they're putting out together, and everyone's like, "This looks phenomenal."
Yeah,
so I'm excited for them.
That's how you can tell they did like a really good job with it because I was watching like E3 with like a group of buddies and stuff, and I've got like I'll play like a lot of games like this, and I've got like some friends that will, but I've also got some friends that like normally if these games come up, they're like, it's not my thing, and like they were like, oh, I want to play this one. Like that's how you know they hit the nail on the head. Like, and
They did.
some of the camera stuff they did, like when they were doing the hand-to-hand combat, the kind of camera shake they did, like gave so much impact. It was
really cool.
Yeah,
I get there was a game I played last year, and if you guys remember Katana Zero, did you play that one?
Yeah.
That one was a badass game, super short,
incredible.
Incredible pixel side scroller. I get a lot of vibes about that game in this because you know it's kind of like that samurai cyberpunk type of thing going on. I'm way down for Replace. It's gonna be amazing.
I was hoping they were going to announce the Katana Zero DLC because it's supposed to be coming at some point. Like I want to go back in that world, but sadly not because it's like another sword to unlock.
Yeah,
true. Yeah. And there's, of course, this is day one Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass, day one.
Freaking Game Pass, man.
Game Pass was like the star of the show.
Of the 30 games they showed, 27 of them were coming to Game Pass day one.
Man.
Which, like, when you're watching that, you're like, well, even if it's not like something that is like top tier to you, like, you know that it's going to be available to you and you can just check it out.
You can try it out for an hour.
Amazing. Yeah, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you know, maybe you find something that you like that you normally would have passed on because it's $60 to $70.
Yeah,
it's tough not to like pontificate so hard on how awesome Game Pass is. It just
it is.
It is astounding at how good of a value this thing is. I mean, like I saw someone tweet about how Sony is really going to have to answer the question at some point because it's basically like for two $70 games. You can have hundreds of games that are day one releases over the next couple of years from Game Pass or from Xbox. And like, that is such a value. Like, just like you said, Bart, even if you play like say 10% of the games that come out there, you're still getting great value from Game Pass.
Yeah. And it's now that they're having them release, they're focusing on releasing them day one on Game Pass because that was kind of the issue before is that it wouldn't launch day one. So if you wanted to play it right away, you'd have to buy it. But now that they're really focused on these things coming out day one on Game Pass, it's such a good value. I wonder if these are for PC Xbox Game Pass.
They show the icon.
Just Xbox console.
Yeah, they show at the end of the trailer for most of them, like what exactly it's coming to.
Yeah.
Also, like. You know, we've been watching Microsoft just buy studio after studio after studio for a few years now, and we're going to start seeing the fruits of that labor, right? And that stuff's going to be getting added to Game Pass as well, and that's just going to continue to make that, you know, that Microsoft kind of ecosystem more and more valuable. And I think what keeps Sony as relevant as it is their exclusives. But if Microsoft starts putting out exclusives on an equal tier to Sony, you know, I'm a little worried about Sony as a company right now because they seem to be pruning the hedges over there. Anything that's not going to be like a AAA mega blockbuster seems to not be getting the love that they used to be over at Sony, which I always thought was part of what made Sony so valuable.
They were kind of the indie platform for a while, and now Xbox has definitely taken that.
Not just indie, but they had like internal studios, like the Japan studio, that are now shut down. You know, like a bunch of stuff like that. They've just kind of seemed to be trimmed down, and it's a little worrisome over there.
Yeah,
they still got a lot of great games that I can't wait to play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm very happy I own a PS5 like Ratchet and Clank. This is an amazing game that makes me go, thank goodness I own a PS5 because the experience
Final
I'm getting
Fantasy VII, the Yuffie DLC.
Yeah, that came out last week
PS5.
as well. Yeah, stuff that's coming out, I really enjoy when I get to play it. But if I'm if I wasn't on a podcast talking about games all the time and I was like on a more peripheral side of looking at games, like the Game Pass is such a great value that you could just dip in, try some stuff, and then it's not going to even I think Mech said for like 4 months, it's paying itself, even if you only play one game every 4 months, you know?
Especially considering, you know, you could also get into the next generation just buy an Xbox Series S, which is pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things. And you can be there, like, you know, so you can, your entry point to next gen is actually quite low, which is great, you know?
Yeah.
It was a little worrisome when it seemed like every company was going to start their own Game Pass, like the EA Access, the Ubisoft, and like every company was going to start doing it. And it was like all of a sudden I'm spending so much money per month just to get access to these libraries. But Game Pass seems to be attracting the companies, so now you can get access to the EA games on Game Pass.
If you have Ultimate,
like if they can keep pulling that off, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm paying for the financing deal for my Xbox Series X. So for my monthly fee and for 2 years of Xbox or Game Pass Ultimate, I pay that over 2 years, and it's like the same price. You know, like it's an amazing deal for that. So.
Can we talk about Forza?
Yeah, there was a lot of games on the Xbox conference, and Forza.
There was a lot.
Boom.
Forza looked fantastic. I don't normally play these games, but I was like, man, Briar, you got to be having a moment.
Dude, that game looks insane. Like they were showing the detail of the needles on the cactuses. Like what?
Oh man.
Dufty, didn't you point out that they had like 12K
they said 12
assets for the skybox or something?
They went out to these locations. I really appreciate this. They went out to these locations and set up a rig to capture 12K HDR skyboxes from the actual locations.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like that's impressive.
That's insane.
Time lapses and stuff, you know?
I like that it's in Mexico too, because Mexico offers for a driving game a ton of different variety, right? You got like Baja situations on the beach or in the sand, in the desert. You got city driving, you got highways, you got jungles. I mean, you got this huge variety. And Forza Horizon 4 was it was in Great Britain, right? It was like kind of like a fake Great Britain, or was it the Isle of Man? I can't remember now. But it was a very urban setting. You know, it felt like an urban setting. This just seems like it's going to have a ton of different places for you to drive, different like opportunities. And the way they do the Forza Horizon series is it's not their like serious like racing sim. This is Forza. You know, it's all about like lap times. Forza Horizon is much more like, let's just have fun. If you want to just drive around, you can just drive around. If you want to, like, there's like races on the side of the road, you can just stop. At any point, you can do any kind of race you want, and they give you the opportunity to change the car out based on the race you want to do. So you can just like drive down to the beach and decide you want to do a Baja in a Warthog. In the last one, you could drive a Warthog from the Halo series. Like it's a more fun, like light experience, but the driving model is still spot on.
Yeah.
So you still get the feel of driving a car, but it's not so much about just doing 30 laps on the same course over and over again.
What do you think of those social aspects of, like, you know, you're driving with someone and
I don't care.
Yeah, okay. That didn't appeal to you?
Not what I'm here for. I really want to see them add VR though. Like I'd love to see them. Driving games they get exponentially better with the addition of VR. Like it's being able to just like turn your head to see around a corner makes it so much easier to drift around that corner and nail it, as opposed to just having to like have faith where the end of the corner is going to be, because your viewpoint is always straight through the windshield, you know?
Right.
VR is so good. And be able to look around in the cockpit and like, actually, if you have like a shifter, you can actually kind of put the shifter where it would be in the cockpit, and it really feels like you're in the car.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him add VR.
That's cool. I mean, it looks phenomenal. And also, it's coming to Game Pass, right? I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't sure if it was one of the 3 games that wasn't coming to Game Pass. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
It's releasing 4 days earlier for deluxe edition owners.
Oh, okay.
So it is releasing on Game Pass technically day 1, but because the deluxe edition gets you 4-day early access.
Gotcha.
Whatever, I'll wait
got
for
an
free
asterisk next to it.
So that's what they're going to do with these games. Is like they're going to have the deluxe $80, $100 version. You also get a day or 2 or 4 days early access. Like, no, honestly, I could care less if they end up doing that for those type of games. Yeah.
No. I feel like the only people who get hurt by that are like the ultra super fans and streamers. Like, if you just cannot wait 4 more days to get Forza, then you kind of get screwed by that. Or if you want to stream Forza before it's out, then you get screwed by that.
Yeah. Fair.
True.
What else from the Xbox conference? That was such a
they showed
conference.
Starfield.
They did.
Did they?
Well, I mean, they showed like a little, I mean, there's not really much. There was like an interview kind of went out like around that, sort of just talking about like, oh, it's still going to be like Bethesda DNA, but there'll be some very sort of different mechanics they're sort of like playing around with and stuff. They want like space flight to feel sort of dangerous and things like that. But outside of that, there's not really much to go on. I feel like it's one of those ones where they kind of want us to like pick apart the trailer and maybe speculate for a while. So yeah, maybe there wasn't too much.
Wasn't there an interview with Todd Howard talking about the ladder or something? Maybe I'm misremembering this.
Oh, sure.
They showed the ladder and he was like, or someone was saying like, so you're gonna use the ladder, and maybe Todd Howard was like, dude, we're working on it still.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like,
we got a view of Starfield. We know that it's coming day one to Game Pass, and it's releasing exclusively for Xbox on November 11th, 2022.
Yeah. Also not on PC, right?
November 11th, 2022.
PC and Xbox.
Oh, was it PC and Xbox?
A year and a half away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
year
we
and a
didn't
half
get to see
away.
any gameplay.
And they're working on the ladder. So
Yeah.
we'll see how
They're not sure if you can climb a ladder yet.
So pretty safe
I
bet
did
to
see
say
some-
2023, right?
I did see some
Yeah,
funny comments online when. Oh, go on.
I'm going to go ahead and say that they kind of have to nail this because the
They
last
do.
Fallout
They really
was
do.
not as good as people had hoped. A lot of people, like, it still has its fans, Fallout 4. But then Fallout 76 was, like, kind of really received poorly. And by a lot of people's accounts, it's gotten better over time. But that studio's name is not what it used to be. And they could really use, like, a really high-quality game that's not filled with kind of that Bethesda jank.
The DNA.
So I'd love to see him
Bethesda
really
DNA.
nail one. Yeah.
Well, that was some of the funny comments. Like when everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna have Bethesda DNA." So you mean the game will be full of bugs then? And they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what we meant. But yeah.
Pretty much. They're
Alright.
real quick, just because Game Pass is amazing, and if you want to try out Fallout 76, they're adding more stuff to Fallout 76, and it's on Game Pass.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've heard Gathalion talk about it, and he said that he's actually been really enjoying it for a while now since they've like done a bunch of updates. So
Okay.
it'll be worth checking out on Game Pass. Well,
Yeah.
it's free on Game Pass, so you might as well.
They also added Yakuza Like a Dragon to Game Pass.
They
So now
did.
there's no reason not to play that amazing game.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, check it out. It is stupid good.
Yeah, everyone seems to love that, even if it's not really that they didn't think it would be their thing. People seem to play it and go, "Whoa, yeah, this is fun. I
Yeah.
like this. It's good."
Yeah, it is distilled fun. It's a lot of fun too. It's like 100 hours of fun.
Nice.
They also showed Stalker 2.
Uh-huh.
If any of you guys
Yeah.
have any interest in Stalker 2, visually it looks very good.
Absolutely. Out of nowhere, right? When did Stalker come out? In the 90s? Like that game was old.
Yeah.
I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
not too
sure
familiar
when-
with it.
So that game is always tied to Metro to me. It's because it's like
Yeah,
similar kind of thing where it's like post-apocalyptic Russia.
and it's Heart
Very
of
dark.
Chernobyl. Stalker 2,
Yeah.
Heart of Chernobyl. So
Yeah. So I don't know. The first game was really cool because it was really dangerous. It was really difficult, but it allowed you to kind of explore this world as kind of a loner that was very dangerous, but very interesting and very filled with surprises. And I don't know if you can kind of, when your game kind of rests on that kind of feeling, I don't know if you can pull it off a second time, but I'd love to see him pull it off a second time. And I bet there's a ton of people who never played Stalker
I
that
didn't play it.
their first experience would be really cool.
yeah, visually it looked very, very impressive visually. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's coming out April 28th, 2022, coming first for Xbox and PC.
Cool.
Okay.
They showed Back for Blood being available on Game Pass, which is of course the Left 4 Dead guys making their new game. It's like that.
Actually, it's quite cool to be honest. I'm not really a zombie person, or like I didn't play much Left 4 Dead or anything like that before, but this one actually looks quite cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
If you got friends who are into these types of games, the Left 4 Dead type games, they're pretty fun.
Yeah. For sure. The Outer Worlds trailer, Outer Worlds 2.
Oh, best trailer.
Yeah.
Best
I mean,
trailer.
hands down.
Here's a monster that you'll never see again.
The thing is, right? You know what though? That threw me off before. I was heartbroken because like it had that kind of comedy, and the way they set up at first in this very sort of mystical looking environment, I was like, this is the Fable trailer. And then obviously it started to have that narration style where it's like, oh, this is the kind of sort of quirky stuff that they would do in Fable. So for quite a while, I was like, this must be Fable. And then suddenly it was like, oh no, I was like, oh no, how do you do this to me? Even when it was the future, I just thought they're gonna pull off some like funny, quirky, like space. Yeah. And then it was like, no.
It was a great trailer. It's like we're just gonna show you the back of the main protagonist because we haven't finished what they look like yet.
Yeah, I love it.
It was really good.
Did you guys see the trailer for Atomic Heart?
I did.
Speaking of bizarre, I have no idea what's going on here, but I'm definitely interested.
I think that's how everyone feels, actually. I saw a lot of that. Like, I don't really understand what this totally is, but...
Yeah. It seems like a ton of genres all kind of mishmashed together into some kind of... I don't know. I think they said it was kind of like you're a KGB agent in like the near future or something. But the trailer is just like, there's so much going on here. What am I looking at?
Yeah.
Another game did that where there's so much in the trailer that you kind of didn't know what was going on, but they narrated it. The guy who made it, Severed Steel. Did you guys see that one where the guy actually talked over the trailer? So this was like, imagine Super Hot and like Fear kind of mixed together. So it's like a first person shooter, but you can do all sorts of cool ass moves, like jump upside down, and like you can run up to a guy, grab his gun, kick him in the face and bounce off and do a backflip and be shooting other guys at the same time and throw your gun down the hallway and pick it up again later. Like all sorts of like really super hotty kind of stuff. But it was so complicated that the guy was actually saying what was going on during the trailer so that you could kind of follow along and understand. If you like Super Hot or Fear, I think this might appeal to you.
Okay. Interesting. There was a game, right? I feel like largely speaking, right, this has been a very, very positive show, and I feel like I need to interject it because I'm devastated right now, right?
Okay.
Because I was so excited. Like, you guys know, I've probably said it many times in the show before, where I'm like, if Platinum Games make something, I'm there. Platinum Games never let me down. You know what happened, right? When like last year, Square Enix showed a trailer for a game called Babylon's Fall. Now, the last trailer, like, it looked like DMC level. This is what Platinum are good at. Like, it's a single player going down. He was fighting like a big ass knight. I was like, this is me, right? And then when this trailer came up, I was on Twitter. I was getting hype. I was like, all right, this is what I've been waiting for. It was all in caps, followed by another tweet saying, "In Platinum we trust." Then the game started to unfold, and then they're like, "Oh, we've changed the game. It's a live service game now." And then it has co-op. And at first I was like, "Oh, you know what? It's co-op." I was like, "This is going to be cool. Platinum combat in co-op." Then I see them fighting, and I'm like, okay. Then I see very slow combat, a very weird visual style. I was like, maybe it's the stream. And then someone shared some screenshots afterwards. I was like, oh no, this is actually what the game looks like.
They're trying to make it look like an oil painting.
Yeah, but it just doesn't work. But it's just like, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to judge it until I've played it, because the thing is, at the end of the day, like, Platinum they have. My statement of Platinum have never done a bad game doesn't really hold true because they messed up with Korra and Transformers, but let's not worry about that. Generally speaking, Platinum normally deliver. So I feel like I still want to play it just to see how it feels, but I was so excited for this, and then I saw it and I'm just like, and even just combat just looks quite slow. You got a character with a hammer who's looks like he's walking through molasses, swings a hammer super slowly, and I'm just like, what have you done?
It was quite the surprise for him to go, it's live service, by the way. And I'll say that I don't think saying something live service is a bad thing. There's some games like Outriders. I think Outriders should have been a live service game. There's some games that would do better as live service. There's other games like Marvel's Avengers that I personally would have preferred if it was like single player story, and then they add like different character stories with DLC. So if something's a live service, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh god, it's gonna be truly awful. But it was definitely a surprise because it seemed like they completely changed the direction of the game.
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
I will still check it out, like Eric said.
Yeah, I'll play
check it out.
And I'll hope that maybe some of that Platinum DNA just comes through, and maybe they just did the thing is, there have been games in the past where they've just made a really bad trailer and it just doesn't show it off. So maybe it'll play well. But yeah, I mean, it's just they might as well give it a different name, because that's not Babylon's Fall that I saw last year. That is no.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the only down on the show. I thought I'd spice things up, and then we can go back to a positive note afterwards.
That's good.
I want to I want to talk about
Yeah, no, go for it.
that indie looking game, Somerville.
Oh,
Somerville. Yeah. Somerville looked pretty cool.
It caught my attention. You know, it's not a flashy AAA game at all, but it's got this like highly stylized 2D. Well, not 2D. It's like 2.5D kind of. You know, it's like experiential walking through. But there's like an invasion going on, so it's like they set the tone of you're with your family, and then you're exploring, then you're doing stuff, and maybe you're on a road trip or something. You're in a cave. It's like okay, and then like there's this like weird purple alien invasion thing that's happening at the same time, and like things are getting serious. You know, it's like it caught my attention. You know,
I won't be playing this. There are in the trailer. There are some scenes that you see that there is a dog with you, and there are some scenes that there is not a dog with you.
maybe the dog took a different path. You know, you're gonna meet up with it.
Maybe. Let's hope.
Yeah,
but I'll never know.
Do not kill my animal friends anymore in any media, please. It is a cheap shot to try and get rise emotions out of me, and it works, and I don't like it.
Exactly.
Maybe maybe the dog had to stay at the entrance of whatever tunnel thing, and was keeping watch or something. Yeah,
keeping watch.
Or maybe he gets crushed to death by an alien.
You sick bastard! How could you do this, Briar?
Speaking of indie games that look good, did you guys see the Wizard with a Gun?
No. What's that?
Oh, that was
the
art style for that is just really, really cool. So immediately from the art style, it was like awesome. And it looks like it kind of got some. I think it's got some roguelike elements to it, but I think it's like a sort of dungeon crawler thing. But there's also seemingly some like crafting and collecting and like I think there was some base building stuff in. Basically, it just looks really cool. I've done a really bad job of explaining it, but it's a co-op thing. I think it's 3 players or maybe 4 players. So you've got some dungeon crawling aspects to it as well, but it just looks really, really cool.
Visually,
I love this art style. Yeah,
this
I like the
great.
It's got 2 different art styles. It's got like this animated, like cutscene stuff going on, but then gameplay I love too.
The gameplay.
I don't know if it's gonna be my kind of game, but it looks great.
It does look visual. This intrigues me visually.
Yeah, definitely.
I like
there's another indie one. There's also like another dungeon crawler one, which is called Endless Dungeon, and that's just like a. I think that's also 4 player. So that's like a top-down twin stick shooter, sort of just explore your dungeons, and that one is a roguelite. So yeah,
cool.
I like roguelite.
Is this Wizard? Yeah.
Did you guys see Road 96? This one is a procedural road trip.
Oh,
this one is. You're trying to get out of the country. Something's happened, and you've got to make your way out of the country. And you're taking, obviously, Road 96 to get out. And it looks like the gameplay is you kind of hitching rides, meeting interesting characters along your way. And it's procedurally generated. So each time you play, you'll meet different people. And they're all voice acted. And like they showed an example of one guy's this crazy taxi driver who's got anger management issues, and it's one of those. But what really got me interested in was it's made by the people who made Valiant Hearts, which I love that game.
That was a very good game.
If they can inject the same kind of heart and soul into this that was in there, then I think I'll like it. Because normally, kind of the more narrative focused games aren't my jam, but maybe we'll see.
Yeah. From the Xbox conference, we had like Age of Empires got a release date. Age of Empires hasn't done a big release in a long time, and I loved those as a kid.
Yeah,
I freaking love Age of
I actually
Empires.
didn't realize Age of Empires 4 was even in the works, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, October 28th, it's coming out. Game Pass.
Remake of 2 came out last year, right?
Yeah.
I believe so, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. And then they showed off Redfall at the very end of the Xbox conference, which is the brand new IP from Arcane. And this is like a first-person co-op open world shooter with vampires and stuff. And just the character design of Redfall, all the characters in that game just look very, very cool.
Yeah. Really well done.
I'm totally down to play this game. The trailer
is this like a Left 4 Dead kind of thing? But
I don't think so.
They didn't say.
Vampires?
Yeah, they've said like co-op open world shooter.
Yeah, I feel like it's a narrative game because like that's Arcane. That's what they do. Like they did Prey, they did all the Dishonored. So they're really good at telling kind of like supernatural, crazy stories in a game. So I'm definitely curious to see how this turns out. Like
can't wait for gameplay. Of course, this isn't an announcement trailer, so as with most announcement trailers, you just have like, this is the world, these are our characters, this is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So no gameplay, but I'm intrigued.
Vampire hunting supernatural game. Like you have supernatural abilities and you're hunting vampires that also have even more supernatural abilities in addition to being a vampire.
I'm ready to jump back into some vampire killing action. We've been doing zombies for what feels like a decade now.
We haven't had vampires.
I hate zombies.
We haven't had vampires in a little bit.
Yeah,
vampires are cool.
Vampires
are
Castlevania.
Cool.
Yeah,
Castlevania, man.
Vampires are sexy and powerful.
Like Konami is. Fuck Konami.
Speaking of which, did you guys see the ridiculous Death Stranding thing where he jumps? I was like, he jumps in a box, then puts the box back on the shelf. I feel like that's Kojima's way of being like, Metal Gear is on the shelf.
Oh, so sad.
So silly.
And then of course there was Halo.
Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite.
Looking good.
The multiplayer is going to be free to play, and then you can pay money for the
this is huge news. I mean, historically, you've had to pay to get access to the multiplayer experience, and it sounds like they want to make a long-lasting multiplayer, long-supported experience.
They want to put microtransactions in it.
Okay, there's a battle pass. There's a battle pass, but so from what I've said, people are like, "This is the best battle pass that I've ever seen," because it seems like you can work towards it whenever. Like if you play for one season and then you next season maybe you're on vacation for a while, or you take a break or have a baby, I don't know, and you can't do your season pass, you can still work at your season pass that you bought. You don't buy it and then it's gone forever if you don't complete it. They stick around forever.
That's nice. That's really good, actually. Yeah.
I think the free-to-play angle will be just really good for the competitive scene, because for a long time, like Halo used to be like king of competitive, right? And then it just sort of started to like fall off the wayside a little bit. I think by literally every, as we've seen with all these multiplayer games online, like if it's free to play, like instantly it has a massively better chance of being picked up.
It does, yeah. And Halo definitely needs the player injection. It really comes down to, have they constructed a new Halo experience that still adheres to the heritage of Halo, but gives players something interesting to go for in an arena type shooter.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of tricks that they put in there. Like you got the grapple, you're grabbing stuff, you're grabbing a spear, and then you're spearing something with it. They showed the thing where the guy exploded or threw a nade by the sword, and the physics impulse popped the sword up to him, and so he grabbed the sword, and then
that was neat.
Yeah, that was definitely super cool. So like, there's a lot of tricks that are going to be going on in that multiplayer experience, which could be really cool. I'm very curious how it's going to feel. Like they need a good anti-cheat if it's going to be free to play. Like that's a huge thing. Like they need to make sure their anti-cheat does not suck. It needs to be really good for people to feel like it's going to be a good integrity game.
I think the interesting thing is, like, to your point there, like, 100%. Like, it looks like they've definitely got the heritage stuff down, because watching the kind of multiplayer stuff today, it looks really, really good. The one thing, and maybe it isn't necessarily an issue, but the one thing is, like, it's a weird thing to say. It looks very Halo, but I didn't see anything outside of like, I've got a grappling hook and some of the sort of cool tricks you can pull off. Like, they didn't show any new weapons or any, like, okay, we've got a new vehicle, which is like an amped up warthog that can carry some stuff, which is cool. And maybe they're saving it till later. Maybe they didn't want to like overwhelm people with like loads of fancy new things, just to show the core audience that like, this is still Halo, which is important, because obviously you want to play Halo. So I don't want it to be drastically different, but I didn't see anything like, a new melee weapon or a new gun or like just something that's new. It was just very like, this is Halo, which is cool. I mean, I like Halo, so I'm not complaining. I just expect there with a new game to be some new stuff.
Sure.
So I'm hoping they haven't shown it yet.
I feel like there was a glimpse of a couple new weapons in there, but
unless I was mistaken, but I haven't gone through frame by frame, but I'm pretty certain I didn't see, like, normally I feel like when they show something new, like it jumps out at you, like, whoa, that rocket launcher fired like dragons. Okay, cool. Like that kind of thing. Sure. Whereas, but maybe I was just blind. Maybe I need to go back with a fine tooth comb.
Yeah, I mean, like they definitely have to have the heritage of like the classics in there. They got to show that it is a Halo game. with the, you get the assault rifle, like all the stuff, like that's got to be in there. But then also a few tricks, new inventions are always interesting to see with what they do. I don't know. It's tough to say what can happen with Halo today. Like I don't know. It's got a small core base today that people really enjoy, and I have jumped in and played Reach, and there's a population there, and it's cool.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's gonna be nipping at the heels at Call of Duty Warzone anytime soon.
I would love it if it did, because honestly, again, this is coming from me, who's like, I'm not massively like a shooter person, but like of all the shooters, like I've always enjoyed playing Halo, like versus say a COD has never really appealed to me. Battlefield to a degree, like Halo, I haven't played as many of them. I came into it quite late, but the time that I spent playing it, I enjoyed it. And I've definitely always and it's the same sort of thing. Like I would quite enjoy watching matches of Halo versus other things like that, because I just find any of those ones where you can do cool, interesting things, as opposed to just like, oh, this guy's really good with his aim, so he shot you from the other side of the map. That's impressive, but I would much rather watch like, oh, yo, this guy just like grab hammered or like launched up into the sky and grappled and spun around and did some madness. Like that's just what I want to see.
Sure.
So I would love to see it get it's kind of time in the to shine again.
They also revealed kind of a bomb when it comes to the campaign, like a new AI, like Cortana's missing, and then they showed this new AI that is clearly going to be your like Cortana sidekick for the time being until they wrap up whatever storyline's happening with Cortana, and that's major. Major in the Halo universe.
I have kind of lost track of that story. Like I was all in through Halo 3, and then Halo 4. I didn't even finish it on my first playthrough. It took me, I think, around 4 years to come back to it. And I'll finally come back to Halo 4 and finish the story, see what happened. And then Halo 5, kind of the same thing. It just didn't grab me. So I'm not they need to start something in Halo again that it feels as important as the Covenant War to really get me back involved in that, because I almost feel like we're doing cleanup duty now.
It's interesting when you're introducing a brand new character to a beloved franchise. Ratchet and Clank just did it with Rivet, and
is her name Siri?
Maybe. They did it with Rivet, and it was really successful. People immediately loved Rivet. She is an amazing character. So it can be done, but I know it's very hard to do, because you essentially have to knock it out of the park with a lovely, lovable, amazing character right away. Otherwise, people are like, fake Cortana. Gross.
Well, the story ended. The story ended with Cortana being in limbo and not knowing whether or not she was going to be alive, like her data
in Halo 5 or Halo 4.
I think Halo 5, and it was, I don't remember exactly the details on it, but it was unclear as to whether or not she was going to survive. So
well, it sounds like they're definitely leaning into that aspect of it as well, because that translates over to multiplayer. They showed in the showcase you can actually create your own AI chip as well, so you can have different voices and different looks and feels for that stuff. So maybe they're just really trying to double down on the have whoever you want kind of thing. So,
well, after the Xbox conference, we had the
Square
Enix
Final Fantasy Chaos Edition.
Okay, so let's just talk about it. So this was the rumored game that we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago, where it was Team Ninja is making an action RPG Final Fantasy game. And this was that. We got to see it. And I'm not going to lie. The trailer was very bad. Okay? He walks up. He's like, chaos. I'm here for chaos. I'm destroying chaos. And I was like, okay, listen. I'm changing to Japanese immediately. I've already changed the audio to Japanese. I will never play this game in English. God, no. Dear Lord. Awful. Also, so the main protagonist, looks like you just got some blonde dude from a mall. And he's standing next to two high fantasy characters, extravagant Final Fantasy characters. And then I was like, wait a second. That's what I'm saying. This game is an isekai, 100%. Because think of the title, right? It's Stranger of Paradise. And then throughout the game, we see him wearing, throughout the trailer, we saw him wearing, actual armor. So he clearly came into the world wearing, just a t-shirt and some jeans. He's wearing the typical, I got brought into another world via a book clothing.
I feel like it's the Square Enix progression, right? It's like in Square Enix games, you have to have belts and buckles and zips. So like as he levels up, he's gonna get more zips, more buckles, more belts, and then it covers up his t-shirt. You see,
I'm telling you, that's what it is. Because people are like, this looks really weird. Why is it just like some blonde guy who's just wearing a t-shirt and some jeans? What is he doing? Why is he
looks
here?
like Nero from DMC.
Who is
He's like,
this
hey, let
guy?
me just slide over for another game.
Who is he and why is he here? But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the thing of this person came from somewhere else and now they're in this Final Fantasy world. So the trailer was pretty funny. But like Eric says, with Platinum, although even more so with Team Ninja, I trust Team Ninja to do the best combat.
Yeah.
I trust them that the combat is going to be amazing. Ninja Gaiden, amazing. Neo is amazing. Like, they make really good combat. And they've been very specific with this is a different direction for Final Fantasy. It is an action game. And the fact that they say that it's an action game and it's different makes me wonder if they are going into, like, the Souls-like Final Fantasy. Because the way that they were fighting some of those bad guys in the trailer, like, you know, there was parrying, there was the dodging, there was all that.
And you just like rip them all into like shards, which could be like souls.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a game that the trailer was definitely bad, but Team Ninja making a Final Fantasy game is kind of like everything I've ever wanted. If they go Souls-like on it, if it's a Souls-like, they have, but it was not an action game. So they're so yeah, it's a game made by Team Ninja with Final Fantasy, and it feels like it's going to be a Souls-like Final Fantasy game, which is perfection for me. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did release the demo. Demo.
Did they?
Released. Well,
you know what they did? They released the demo, and it was chaos.
That's what I was saying. I was like, is this a marketing ploy? Because I feel chaos right now. I'm feeling so much chaos. There was an issue. They released the demo like right after the trailer. And it was an issue where you download it and then it says the file is corrupted. And they know what the issue is. They know how to fix it and they're working on fixing it. So hopefully it gets fixed soon. But it is still not fixed.
So
it's not playable at all right now, right?
No, you can't load up the game because that's what I want to do. Like, you see this trailer, it's not that great. Like, the thing that's gonna make me go, oh yeah, 100% in, is getting in on that demo and feeling what the combat is like.
Yeah,
that's I want to know.
Yep.
Because if I feel the combat and it's being really, really, really good, then I'm all in. I'm already like 95% in.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had done other Final Fantasy games. So they did Dissidia, Final Fantasy, Opera, Omnia, and NT.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
They did.
I also didn't know that they did Metroid Other M.
They did. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I did know they did Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
They did. Yeah. It's
classic.
like, here's Neo and here's beach volleyball. Well, we do everything.
Genre.
Also, Dead or
Untitled
Alive Extreme Venus Vacation. Which sounds wonderful.
Does sound good.
Take a nice
That's when Team Ninja took Dead or Alive in the vacation and they made a Souls game out of it. Imagine that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds hilarious.
And then the rest of the Square presentation was Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game.
What do you guys think of Guardians? I mean, like, I love that. I love that world, but man, I don't know if that game's gonna be good.
Yeah, same.
The game was struggling a lot. There was some big frame issues. I was like, it's being very framey. The textures looked really bad. And then not just that, but like there's just too much happening on the screen. It just felt kind of messy and noisy. It felt noisy. So I love Guardians. I actually thought the writing for the characters was pretty good in the gameplay that we saw. And at least this is a single player story game.
They clearly stated that, which is nice.
Yes, it is nice.
This is also based off the comic book, not the movies, right?
Yeah. That's the difficulty, right? It's like, because it's always really cool when they can base it off the comic books and they can go like they can take a different angle. They said they can like cherry pick and like pull out other villains that they haven't like used before, which is cool. The problem is, and obviously if you've read the comics stuff, like maybe it won't bother you so much. But if a large chunk of people are so invested in the cinematic universe that it's the same thing they had with Avengers, where when they reveal the character, you're like, this doesn't look like Chris Pratt. And it's like, I know he doesn't have to be the only look for, the character, but it's like when you see this guy who just looks like a B tier stand-in with like blonde hair, it's like that's not Star-Lord, so it's quite
tough.
difficult. Yeah.
It is very difficult.
And I feel like gameplay it's like I never like to sort of I like to give every game a chance. Like I don't want to like discount it already. But gameplay, there was nothing that jumped out to me initially. Like it looked quite standard, just like generic sort of combat stuff like that. And even when they did like ultimate abilities, normally like in these games, especially like the Marvel games, like you get an ultimate. Take something like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Some of them are like these screen-filling madness things, but this one holds up his little record player, and then the team just glow purple, and you get a damage boost. I'm like, that's not an ult. Come on, give me something that fills the screen. So
yeah, there was nothing that really jumped out at me and made me excited. And with the whole characters not looking like the actors, that's really hard because the actors a lot of time don't want to sign off on their likeness being used in the game because they are not involved with that process. So it's like, you can just get to use my face in your game and I don't know what the hell you're doing with it. And that makes people uncomfortable. So I know that they need to look different. It definitely is weird because we're so accustomed to the way that these characters look and that's who they are. But besides that, it's just nothing really jumped out to me as being exciting about the game.
I really like those movies. I can't wait for the third
Me
one.
too.
I love.
Well, other than that, I have no attachment to the franchise. I tried reading the comics; they're nothing like the movies. The movies are like a product of, I think. What's the director's name? Is it Tim Gunn?
James Gunn.
James Gunn. I think those movies are really a product of his mind, like the way he put those together. Not, he loosely based them off the characters from the comics.
By the way, the ride at Disneyland is primo. Good? It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's up there, like one of my faves, because they play DMCA music, obviously.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I saw.
They're gonna get a takedown notice.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, there was So the really cool thing that Square did is they offered a DMCA free stream link. So if you wanted to stream the Square conference, you could do it without worrying. But people were like, this DMCA free version is really awkward. It's just because, they've got like very well-known music in this game, like very well-known popular music. So in terms of streaming it might be a little rough. Because it's either going to be very weird that you have none of that music, or you're going to have the music and get copyright.
It's nice that they think of it at least,
Yeah, exactly. And oh no, so they did say there's a toggleable option. A toggleable option where you can turn off the DMCA music. So I really appreciate the developers are doing this because they don't have to. Technically, we're not even supposed to stream their games because it's like that's copyright. So I really appreciate that they're doing it. It is just unfortunate that at the moment, the way it's done is it just removes the music.
Remember when Cyberpunk was like, "Hey, we have a copyright-free version," and then they're like, "Turn off the music. We forgot to pull out some."
Mute the entire game.
Mute the game. We totally forgot to pull something out.
Oh no.
It's gonna be a learning journey for all of us, right? It kind of hit us quickly and no one was prepared to deal with it.
There was a thing also, I don't remember what conference it was, but like they had approved 100 streamers or something like that.
Yes.
And like 1,000 had requested DMCA free or whatever the rights to be able to restream and co-stream and all that. It's just such a cluster right now.
It's so bad. Yeah. That's really bad.
It's rough. Yeah. Oh, it was E3 itself. Forcado in chat was saying. Yeah.
That was E3. No.
When something stupid happens, I like look at it and I forget about it immediately. Yeah, exactly. God, they had another leak also this year. They leaked another doxing. It's crazy, man. I would never trust E3 again.
Yeah. Even their whole like social media thing, like the social media handling of stuff like before, they were just like really, really just bad. And like in fact they must have got like a new person because they did the whole kind of the thing you don't do as a brand where like they were speaking in the first person all the time as well. They were like they were literally replying to the E3 account like, I think this is like oh, that's kind of weird. And then when someone was like, oh, have you got a schedule? They're like, oh, we don't have a schedule right now because a lot of these dates are kind of moving and changing around. And yet all these websites are like, here's our schedule. Cool, man. Yeah, E3 are a mess.
They are a mess. They really
are.
Yeah.
So speaking of E3, it's not over yet, and you guys said, what was it? There's Nintendo band.
There's Capcom
Capcom
straight after the show.
Coming up in 25 minutes.
Yeah,
yep.
like
and
right
then
now.
there's Nintendo tomorrow, Bandai Namco tomorrow, and then rumors of Xbox having like another show at some point, like to watch more games.
The bonus box,
and then the bonus box, and then in July we've still got EA Play. But that's further away. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to Capcom, Nintendo, Bandai
Breath
Namco.
of the Wild 2, please.
Nintendo Switch Pro.
So we've decided to launch it on January 20th, 2022.
Goodbye, Elden Ring. Sorry, Elden Ring, you're not getting played then.
Goodbye, Zelda. I will probably never play because Elden Ring. Elden Ring beat that.
Yeah, do you think
they probably will do that?
Do you think we're gonna get any kind of like major announcements from Nintendo, or do you think it's gonna be business as usual?
I hope so.
I really hope so. Yeah, I mean, there've been a lot of there's been a lot of like rumors doing the rounds of like there's like supposedly like a new Donkey Kong game in the works. Like I reckon they'll show maybe more from Splatoon 3. But outside of that, I mean, I still feel like maybe we're not going to see Metroid this year. But for me, as long as I get to see Breath of the Wild 2, I am happy.
Yep.
I am looking forward to seeing what they do for Breath of the Wild 2. I would love to see a new Metroid, but I'm really curious about the hardware too, because that hardware definitely could use an update.
Yeah, true. Although they did specifically say in their tweet about E3, they were like, "We're showing you 40 minutes of new software." So I don't know whether they will have I mean, I still hope they do, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's going to be.
Maybe it will be And with that brings us to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Wait, there's one more thing.
What if it's 40 minutes of software and 5 minutes of hardware?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, the Switch.
Oh, and we got I completely forgot that we got gameplay of Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, that's right.
We got like
where was this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
It kind of looks like Souls-like.
Wait, what? Where did this drop?
I can't remember where they showed it. It was at one of the smaller ones, the smaller conferences. But if you look up Kena Bridge of Spirits gameplay, you should see. You should see. It was 3 days ago.
In what's the release date? Is it still August?
August, yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm very, very excited for this game.
Yeah.
It is a gorgeous game, and combat looks really fun. Of course, we don't know how it feels, but in the way that combat looks, it looks very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is high up on my list.
When's that coming out?
August.
Good. I'm looking forward to that. Should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Looking forward next week, right?
Yeah, we can talk about the rest of E3. We can talk about Ratchet and Clank, what we thought about the whole game, maybe. We can talk about the Yuffie DLC, how that was. Yep. And maybe I'll be able to talk to you guys about the goddamn demo for Final Fantasy Origin, Stranger of Paradise, Chaos.
Final Fantasy Chaos.
You said it so many times. I was like, oh, what are you doing? Please. Oh, dear. Oh, no.
All right. Well, that is SideQuest episode number 97. I'm pretty sure it's 97. Yeah, it's 97. SideQuest episode number 97. Thank you very much for hanging out, listening, and watching all that stuff. Shout out to our Patreon members. Shout out to our live Twitch subs as well. And Briar, where can people find you?
You can find me. I don't even know. I didn't think about it beforehand. I got nothing here.
Find him in the void. In the great abyss.
Yeah. You can find Briar ordering a bathtub of barbecue sauce for a charity incentive.
That's fucking gross.
We're going to have DCP's first hot tub stream, but it's a hot barbecue tub stream.
Hot sauce. Oh, no.
Briar has not agreed to this, and I just made it up, so.
Excellent. Eric's, where can people find you?
You can find me over on YouTube at Arix Gaming or Twitter at Arix, where this week I will be getting excited over hopefully Zelda.
Nice. And Watts?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts, and I'm gonna be playing more Ratchet and Clank.
Noise.
Until it's
And
done.
I'm Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. And I'm not entirely sure what the schedule is this way. We got charity stream. We got, the GCX podcast on Thursday.
Stay tuned.
Yes,
Stay tuned.
we have the GCX podcast. We're doing a special one for the show. It's gonna be 12 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, same day, just 6 hours earlier, which is way earlier. But it's gonna be really fun. Pope's gonna be there.
Pope's
It's gonna be a big.
Holtz is gonna be there, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a catch up with the OG crew.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, the 19th of June, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific until 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, 9, 4 hours. We're going to be doing the charity marathon, which is going to have Pope Bear there as well. Holtz is going to be there the whole time. We might also have some special guests, and we're going to be raising money for St. Jude.
There it is. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.